Okay, students, we are going to be doing Unit 3 paper practice. This is transformations. We're going to be looking at things like translation, reflections, and even some rotations in there as well. So let's start with these first couple here. A translation is like a slide. And so if it's going to slide 5 units right, so we're going to go 5 to the right and 2 down. I'm going to take each of these kind of points here. Let's start with like point D. And I'm going to go 5 right. I'll count my distance to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right and 2 down. And there's my new D. So I'm going to color code each of these kind of shapes, you could say. And then we'll have the C, again, is 5 units right, 2 units down. One thing that I notice is that the D and C are kind of like 2 units right and 2 units down from each other. So these other blue and green dots should be that same kind of relationship where it's 2 units right and 2 units down. Now we have, let's pick a different color. How about purple for F? And F is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units right and 2 units down. So F will be right there, which makes sense because it's got that same relationship to the blue dot. And then our final dot is the E. I'll use red. And that'll complete my shape. Then I'll just connect these dots. And I'm also going to label it so that the points coordinate with each other as well. So this will be my E prime, D prime, C prime, and F prime. Awesome. Number 2 is very similar. I'm actually going to skip number 2, and we're going to look at a couple of reflections. So number 3, it says reflect across x equals -1. X equals -1 is a vertical line at -1, so that'll be vertical line at -1. So a vertical line at -1 is going to be here, and it's going to go all the way up and down. So we're going to draw a different color line in there, maybe orange. And I'll try to draw it as straight as I can. So I'm going to reflect everything over that orange line. Now, as I think about each of these dots, this J can't reflect left or right because it's sitting on the line. When you're sitting on the line of reflection, you don't even move. But this K is 2 units to the left. 2 units to the left here, so that means I'm going to go to the other side of the orange line, 2 units to the right. So that's where I'll go for the K. The L is kind of opposite. It's 2 units to the right, so it's going to go 2 units to the left. And then finally, the M down here is 3 units to the line, the orange line. So I'm going to go 3 units on the other side. 1, 2, 3. Now I need to connect this new shape. So I got these here. What else do we have? And the red. And then over to the blue and back up to the green. And if you notice when you draw the shape, you should see something that looks like a neatly folded face or butterfly or paper airplane, but it has this symmetry where it would fold on that orange line. All right, let's look at another one here. We're going to reflect across the line y equals 1, which is a horizontal line at 1. And that's going to be right here. So we're going to draw an orange line there. Oh, Let's try clean that up just a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to go across that orange line. So I'm going to color in each of these dots one at a time. Let's start with E. So I noticed that it's 2 units above the line, so it's going to go 2 units below the line down here. Similarly, F is 4 units above the line, so it's going to go 4 units below the line. And G is 2 units above the line, so it's going to go 2 units below the line. And H is the only one that's a little bit different. It starts below the line 3 units. So that's 1, 2, 3. So it's going to go up 1, 2, 3 above the line. Right there. Okay, it can get a little kind of crowded with all the different markings, but I'm going to connect the green to the blue and purple here. And then the blue and purple also connect to the red. And now we have a shape. It's a fold across a horizontal line instead of across a vertical line, but still a fold. All right, this next one is probably harder for most of us. We're going to go across the line y equals negative x. Y equals negative x is this diagonal line like this. Now, when I'm trying to do a diagonal line that's 45 degrees like that, there's a lot of ways that I could calculate it, but here's what I look for. I kind of look for these L shapes. So J is like 2 to the right and 1 up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to invert those numbers. So I'm going to swap the 1 for the 2, and I'm going to go 1 right and 2 up. So J is here, and it's going to go there. Similarly, K is, let's say this was 2 right and 4 up. Then I'm going to go 4 right and 2 up, and that'll be my K location there. Let's change colors a little bit, so we'll make that purple. And we said we're going to go 2 and then 4 there. So then we'll swap it for 4 and then 2. That's our final position. Okay. Color in that K again. And now let's fold the other 2, but let's do it with some clever shortcuts. So I noticed that the I here is like 1 diagonal away from the J, so I'm going to put that there, and those all kind of line up. And similarly, the H here is on 2 units away from the K to the left, but that means it's going to be 2 units up. So that'll be here. Now here's kind of another thing that I noticed is that the H lines up on a diagonal perpendicular to that y equals negative x. Similarly, the K and the I and J kind of line up in this perpendicular line that folds across. Let's connect these 4 dots now. We got those 2, these 2, here, and here. Let's go ahead and label our spots. So the H was the blue, K was the purple. These are prime because they're the images. This is our J prime and our I prime.
Let me go this way.
All right, now we have some translations, but they're written in a slightly different way. So this translation here says x plus 2, y minus 1. Well, my x plus 2 means 2 to the right, and my y minus 1 means 1 down, because y goes up and down, and x goes left and right. And positive direction for x is to the right, negative is to the left. Positive direction for y is up, and negative is down. So I need to go 2 right, 1 down. So for each of these, I'm going to go 2 right, 1 down, 2 right, 1 down, 2 right, 1 down. Let's color code them again. So D will move here. And C will actually go on top of the D. It kind of mixes in with its old spot. And B, go 2 right and 1 down. So our new shape is going to be these 3 lines. And this will be C prime, where the D used to be, D prime, and B prime. I'm going to skip the next few because we've seen ones like them already. And now we're going to look at how do I write a rule for a transformation. So here's this one here. Now you might think, okay, it looks like maybe a reflection, like it folds across that line. But here's how I know it's not a reflection. I notice that my S is in opposite directions. My Q is in opposite directions. And my R is in opposite directions. What that tells me is that if everything's in opposite directions, like left went right, right went left, up went down, and down went up, the only way that that will work is with a 180 rotation. So this was a 180 degree rotation. So we would say 180 degree rotation. And the next one is actually very similar. Notice that the L is in the opposite directions, M is in the opposite directions, N is in the opposite directions. Everything's opposite. That would also be a 180. Now let's see what's not necessarily opposite. So here we have Q. One's going up and one's going left. R are both pointing to the inside. And S is kind of pointing down and to the right. But when I look at this, if I kind of tilt my head, kind of at a diagonal, I start to notice that it looks like they fold across this line. And this line here is y equals negative x. So it's a fold, but a fold is a reflection. So this would be reflect across this line, which is y equals negative x. All right, let's try another one. I see another reflection here, but it's a vertical reflection. And I can see that it's vertical because these T's swap sides, the S's swap sides, and the U's swap sides. So they're all swapping in one direction, but both T's are pointing up. Both U's are pointing down. If the T had swapped left and right and up and down, that would have been a 180 rotation. But instead, it's like a fold. So what I need to next figure out is, what is this line? It's a reflect across, and this line is right here at negative 2, because here's 0 and then negative 1, so it's at negative 2. And because it's vertical, vertical means we're going to have x equals a number, and that number is negative 2. So it's a reflect across x equals negative 2. (15) is very similar. It has a reflection across this middle line. And if we're reflecting across that line, you could describe this 2 different ways. You could say reflect across x equals 0, because this is 0 right in the middle. Or you could have said reflect across. We have a special name for that x equals 0. We call it the y-axis because it's kind of measuring the heights up and down. All right, now let's look at this next one. I see a lot of stuff kind of moving locations. I see D go over here. I see G go over here. F go down there. E go down there. And this isn't a reflection because there's no like middle line that the letters all swap sides on. And it's not a translation because it is facing in different directions. So that makes me think it's a rotation. So then I got to figure out, is it a 90-degree rotation like a quarter turn or 180 like a half turn? And this is a quarter turn because when D and G are in this kind of bottom right corner, they move to the bottom left corner. So the only way we go from one corner to another is from a 1/4 turn, not a half turn. We're not going across 2 of these quarter panels. We're only going across 1. So that's a rotation of 90 degrees. Now the direction we would say is clockwise. It's the same as a clock. Okay, for these last few questions, these are all multiple choice. But the idea is it's trying to get us to look at the specific letters and making sure that we match up the start and finish of each letter. So let's do some color coding again. We're going to reflect across the x-axis, which is this horizontal line. So that means things like the T is going to go from 3 above down to 3 below down here. 1, 2, 3. The U was 1 below, is now going to be 1 above. And the S was 3 above again, so it's going to be 3 below. And the R was 2 below, so it goes to above. So I'm going to go ahead and connect these dots and see what we have. We have these two here, these here, this and this. All right, I'm going to focus on just 2 of the letters. I'm going to focus on S prime and T prime because those have a Y value of -3, and the T has an X value of -2, and the S has an X value of -5. So I'm looking for S prime, -5, -3, and T prime, -2, -3. Emerson, could you yell somewhere else away from me? Because I'm recording a video. And put your helmet over closer to your bike. So in looking at our options, it looks like the only one that has S at -5, -3 is this last one. We're going to leave the rest of these for you to try and check. Each of them have kind of various different patterns, but if you check this document online, you'll see that all the answers are also marked on the final page. And that'll be it for this video.